Hello, everybody. It's Connie Stewart with SimplySimpleStamping.com. Welcome to a brand new Tuesday tip video. Hey, if you were on a crafting budget, you're going to be so glad you tuned in today because I want to share with you a fun and inexpensive way you can create backgrounds for your card designs using the Basic Pattern Decorative Stencils. Guys, these are like a little hidden gem in our catalog. I'm telling you, these are fabulous. They are kind of a heavy duty, I'm going to call it maybe it's a mylar type material. And you're going to be able to use these in a really unique way, create great backgrounds for your cards, and the price point can't be beat. I'll tell you a little bit more about that here in a minute. But let's go ahead and get started. I want to share with you what I know about these fabulous little stencils. I really do love working with these stencils, with these masks. Now, I got to tell you, if you are on a budget and you're looking for a great way to add a nice background to a card or a project, look no further than the Basic Patterned Decorative Masks. These things are great. They're going to be able to create a really fantastic background fairly easily. I think you're going to like it. Oh, and should I mention, the price point is great. 4 masks for $6 for the United States. So they're a real bargain too. So let me show you what these masks look like. So this is just a really nice kind of a wooded background. I did this one with crumb cake cardstock and soft suede ink. So you can see that's going to be great for a nice masculine card. This is just a nice pattern. I don't know, we might call it a leaf, but really, I just think it leaves a really great image. This is Night of Navy cardstock, and then I sponged the Night of Navy ink on that. I love vintage. It can be so pretty. This is a very nice, elegant background. This is Seaside Spray sponged with the Seaside Spray ink, and you can see really, really nice texture that that pattern gives. But hands down, I am all about the dots. I love polka dots. And this is probably my most used stencil. I probably use it the most, but I really love having a really fun background that I can create myself and I can create it very easily. This is the one we're going to make today. So one tip I have regarding using the stencils, if at all possible, I do recommend that you use a stamparatus because this is going to allow me to use magnets to hold it in place so I don't have to have that fear about it moving around. Another tip I have is that when you cut your cardstock, cut it a little bit larger than what you're going to need. So this piece is a 3 3/4 by 5 inch. I'm using a quarter sheet, 5 1/2 by 4 1/4. So you can see I've got a little slush there. So if I need to trim it down, maybe I've got an edge that didn't come out the way I want, that's going to be really helpful. So go ahead and cut it a little bit bigger. I'm going to add my grid paper underneath me because I will be sponging off the edges and I want to protect that black mat underneath. So I've got my cardstock pushed up in the top and I have my stencil also pushed up to the top. I'm going to use those magnets and we're going to place those here at the top and the bottom, just there on the corners. That's going to kind of hold things down to make sure that my stencil doesn't slide around. You could also do this with painter's tape. I just love how easy it is to do with the stamparatus, and it's a tool I already have, so I figure why not use it. For this card, I'm going to use a Real Red ink pad, and I'm going to show you 3 different ways that you can create your stencils. The first one I'm going to do is a sponge dauber. I love using sponge daubers because it's a little less messy. It allows my finger to stay nice and clean. I'm not getting in my fingers in the ink at all. I am just going tap, 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 tap. So just tap that along your stencil. And if you need it a little bit darker, you can go back over it. So we're just going to add a little bit of polka dots here with the sponge dauber. Now, there is another way that I can do this, and that is with a Stampin' Sponge. Now, this is about, I've cut my sponge into 6 pieces. And for this one, you can tap, 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 or you can swirl. I mean, you could do that with the sponge dauber too. But yeah, we just want to kind of press that ink down into the stencil. So that is another technique there. Another way is you can use your sponge brayer. Now, I got to tell you, this is the fastest and easiest way. to add that ink, because look at that. Boy, we can get ink on there so fast and we get good, quick coverage. This is really a wonderful way. When you're done with this, you simply rinse that under the sink and you can get that ink off. Doesn't take a lot. Again, just like we said before, we can go back over the edges. Now, those magnets are kind of in my way, right? So let me show you what we can do. I can now take that magnet. I'm just going to slide it. Yep, that's all I need to do. And then I can get this little corner right here. I'll slide that one back into place. Let's move this one. And we can get this area. Really simple, really, really simple. So you have three options to color. So Stampin' Sponges, stamp daubers, sponge daubers, or your foam brayer. Either one, either of the three. It's going to work great. Now we need to remove these magnets, but remember there might be ink on the bottom of it because I slid around. So I'm going to slide these down on my Stamparatus, but I want you to know these magnets don't like each other. We don't want them to touch. When they touch, ooh, it's just not pretty. So they're very delicate magnets, so I want to keep those at separate ends. I'm going to lift my stencil away. There's my image, but I want you to notice. Do you see all that mess? Yeah. I am going to clean this by simply running it under my sink. Just run it under water, let that ink, it's going to come right off. This is kind of a mylar material, so the ink's not going to stick to it. Also, you can reuse the stencils over and over and over and over and over again. So it's going to be a long-lasting tool when you purchase it once. Now, I want to show you real quick here what my final product looks like. So you can see I was able to get all that good coverage, but there's that edge I mentioned. And that's because when we use the Stamparatus and we got up there in the corner, well, that stencil does have an edge, kind of has to. So now we're just going to trim that down. So let's say I wanted to get that little edge. I don't want that little tiny sliver to show. So I could trim that down so I have a little bit nicer edge. And I'm just going to kind of do that on two sides now. Remember, I said I needed this to be 3 3/4. All right, well, now I can cut it down to my 3 3/4 and make sure everything 3 3/4 by 5 so I can get the excess off. And now I am certain I have a really nice, fully covered stamped piece of cardstock. And guys, it's not that much of a waste. We're just cutting off just that little bit. And now you can see I simply use that background to create my Make Today Ridiculously Awesome card. So yeah, I think you can see how versatile those stencils are going to be. There you go, my friends. I hope that you see the value in these stencils. They really are a fantastic way to get a really quick background on your cards. Now, if you'd like to add these to your next order, here's what you can do. Go to simplysimplestamping.com and you can actually look down in the YouTube description for a quick link that'll take you right to the post that I have about today's stencils, and it'll have this video. But look for the pictures of the supply list, and you'll see the stencils along with your 3 coloring options: sponge daubers, Stampin' Sponges, or that fabulous sponge brayer. Whichever way you decide to go, I think you're going to be really happy you've added these stencils and those sponges to your next order. You're going to have fun creating. Guys, thank you again so much for being here. I look forward to stamping with you guys again soon. Bye-bye.